I'm going to shift the gears a little bit. In what ways do you think the economic uncertainty is shaping exit planning conversations, with tariffs going on and everything kind of in the, economy today?
I think it reminds me of when we were going through COVID. And Megan, I don't know if you recall, but we also have Transworld Business Advisors. So we were helping people buy and sell businesses. And what we saw was that people who were willing to be nimble and pivot are the ones who succeeded. And there were a couple of people who spoke about tariffs. And I think the bigger issue isn't that the tariffs are there, is that they're unpredictable. But the things that you can do, there are strategies that businesses can undertake to um, think about those. You don't have to do 20% increases across the board. Figure out who can most afford that and work it that way. I also think the other big trend, and obviously, we also work with some of these, is automating some of the process. And again, it's not taking over the human element, but being able to use programs that help us provide more streamlined information for our clients, and even looking at AI as means to delve into industry backgrounds and things like that. And it was funny because they had a wall that said, where do you think exit planning is going? And different people could just put up a tile. And somebody wrote, AI is going to put us out of business. I don't think that's the case, but I
Yeah.
think ignoring the impact of AI is going to be counterproductive.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I feel like if anything, now more than ever, with talking with so many business owners, is they're now realizing that they do need a plan. It doesn't matter if they're looking to transition today, 2 years from now, 10 years from now. They just bought a business. They're now realizing no matter what, there's so much uncertainty at all levels that they need to start planning for that eventual transition. And I think it's important to recognize that. And I think it's exciting that, business owners are starting to think about it in a way that they never did before.
And those who made it through COVID already understand why being nimble and pivoting is important. I mean, during COVID, we were able to help restaurants sell and things like that, but they all took steps to make sure that they could work in the reality that we were given during that time.
Yeah, sure. So I know EPI talks a lot about the value acceleration methodology. How have you seen that play out successfully in the work that you do with Exit Factor?
I think that, and I'd like for us to talk about it in more depth, but I think that one of our best tools for that is our exit assessment, which is much more than a business valuation, because the value acceleration methodology includes both qualitative and both quantitative, the numbers, everybody talks about the numbers, but also qualitative issues. And a lot of business owners don't think of the qualitative issues as mattering, and they really, really do, because you know if you can't go on vacation without calling in 3 times a day, that's not a valuable business.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really good image of the methodology.
Yeah, I think that's great. Just like looking ahead, what's one thing that you wish more business owners understood about succession planning or transition planning or just, planning in general?
Um, a couple of things. I think that try to do this
You're like, let me
quickly.
get my whole entire script. Okay, this is everything.
I think the big things are is don't assume you know how you'll exit or when. Um, have a plan in place in case something happens. Um, and also, it's never too early to start on this, because as you know, Megan, when we work with a client, and yes, we're called exit strategy, but we're really helping them increase the value and profitability of their business. And sometimes at the end of that time, the business owner has a developed plan, they have a strategy, and they get re energized. And they're like, I don't want to exit now. I want to keep growing the business because I know 5 years from now, you told me when we started my business was worth $1 million. Now it's worth 3 million. If I keep going, maybe I can get it to 10. And depending on what they feel their needs are when they are ready to retire, that could be extremely valuable to them.
For sure. I love that. I know when we were just talking on the side about the EPI conference, you had talked about, speakers and books and just recommendations that people had talked about. What book or resource or even thought leader would you recommend to someone seriously thinking about, mastering their exit planning?
And again, I would broaden it to leadership and business strategy. Um, Obviously, the key book behind DPI, which is Walking to Destiny, which is by Chris Snyder. Um, I also have to shamelessly plug Jessica's book, which is called Getting the Most for Selling Your Business. Here it is. Um, and um, the other thought leader that I thought was an excellent speaker, his name is Justin Goodbread, and he's worth following on LinkedIn. He's the one who talked about servant leadership. He talked about um, just how he's had conversations with people in non work settings that helped both him and the other person grow or think differently about what they were doing. I thought he was a great speaker.
That's
And I have
awesome.
to, so yeah.
Love it. Well, it sounds like the conference was a success overall. Lots of good nuggets, things that you already know, but also things that, you maybe didn't know before, or new approaches or new thoughts and different perspectives. So overall, it sounded like a great, summit. I'm glad you were able to go. Um, any last thoughts or things that you wanted to share that we didn't cover about in regards to the summit?
Um, it's definitely a great opportunity to meet with thought leaders in all the various aspects. And there were several opportunities to get some really personal connections with some of these people who, when they spoke to the larger group, I was like really impressed.
Great. That's great. Well, thank you, Dion, for all of your, reflection and thought that you put into the questions and the answers. And yeah, I'm excited to continue our series and talk more about, how we provide with Exit Factor a lot of value to business owners.
Right, right.
I want to end though with one fun fact. What's one fun fact, Dion, about yourself that you would like to share with the audience?
Just something, whatever.
Yeah, anything. Work, personal, but what's one thing that we should know about you today?
Well, the reason why my name is pronounced Dion is because it's French. And I grew up speaking both French and English. So French was technically my first language.
See, I had no idea.
And I still speak French completely fluently.
That's amazing.